Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back once again to our ongoing series on the glories of our beloved Sri Vrindavan Dham. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Deshatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, we're continuing with our mini-series on Stimulation for Ecstatic Love, and this will be part 28. Today we will discuss a very important personality, actually hundreds and thousands of them actually, who play important roles in Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes and without a doubt stimulate each and every Vaishnava's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who could that or they be? Well, Gomata, Krishna's adorable cows. If anyone is familiar with Vrindavan pastimes, they'll know that out of all the rajabasis, Krishna's cows probably spend the most amount of time with the Lord. There's that prayer from Vishnu Purana, 1:1965, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna, who is the worshipable deity for all Brahminical men, who is the well-wisher of cows and Brahmanas, and who is always benefiting the whole world. I offer my repeated obeisances to the personality of Godhead, known as Krishna and Govinda. Now in that verse, it's very clear how dear two things are to Krishna: Brahmins and cows. Brahmanas because they, how would you say, they carry on the message of Godhead before and after Krishna's presence on this earth. They're always preaching the message of Godhead. And cows because, well, they fall into the group of Krishna's favorite devotees. And who are they? Rajabasis. So cows must be very special. Again, because Krishna spends the balance of his day with them in the pasturing grounds of Vrindavan. And that actually starts very early in his life, at 5 years of age. At 5 years of age, Krishna was given charge of the calves. And it was all meant to be, I was thinking this morning. Because when Nanda Maharaj requested the sage Gargamuni to do an astrological reading at Krishna's birth, Gargamuni said, since your son was born in the year called Vibhavashu, Vashu and the whole universe will be pleased with him. And since he was born under the Rohini constellation, he will be master of many herds of cows. And because his ascendant is Taurus, he will doubtlessly be the protector of innumerable bulls. This was the prediction. So again, that all began at the tender age of 5. And it meant that Krishna spent the balance of his time first with the calves, and eventually with the cows and the bulls, their favorites. In Vedic culture, the day is divided into 8 yamas, Y-A-M-A-S, yamas, or literally 8 parts of the day. And each part consists of 3 hours. So 8 times 3 is 24 hours. So Krishna spent a good portion of those 8 yamas with his cows. The acharyas say that Krishna's day pastimes are more visible to the rajabasis than his night pastimes, which are, obviously more confidential and reserved primarily for the gopis. I was reading that even the demigods can benefit from taking darshan of Krishna during the day. Lord Brahma, Indra, and the other demigods, they often come to Vrindavan in their special airplanes, they're flower airplanes, to observe Krishna during the day, but never in the night, for the same confidential reasons. So what does Krishna mostly do during his visible pastimes in the day? Well, unlike most boys who go to school and study and learn manners, Krishna just herds and plays with his cows. The Vaishnava poet Chitta Swami has written, so nice, cows in front of him, cows behind him, cows are everywhere. Sri Krishna, the protector of cows, loves to be surrounded by them. He has filled the land of Braja with so many cows that even Vaikuntha is forgotten. It was for the sake of the cows that he held up Govardhan Hill. We thank that poet. So, cows are very important, not only in the spiritual world, but in the material world as well. As we've all heard before, the cow is one of our natural mothers. The Vedas say we have 7 natural mothers. Our real mother, our birth mother, Mata. The wife of the spiritual master, Guru Mata. The wife of the Brahmana, Puro Itani. The wife of the king, Raj Mata. The cow, Gau Mata. The nurse, Dhaima. And the earth, Dharati Mata. And I was reading that our birth mother and the nurse are considered sisters. The wife of a Brahmana, along with the wife of the guru and the queen, are also considered sisters. And cows and Mother Earth are considered sisters too, the cows and Mother Earth. Therefore, Mother Earth is often depicted as a cow. Here in India you see paintings like that. Earth is depicted as a cow. So during the time when Krishna was in Vrindavan, cows were in such abundance that there were puddles of milk everywhere, it's described. And there were even streams of milk flowing throughout the land. I read that when Lord Indra came to Vrindavan, it comes from time to time, but on one visit he came to Vrindavan, it's described he was surprised to see milk flowing everywhere. Now, it's a fact that demigods sometimes get confused observing Krishna's pastimes, being unable to fully comprehend why Lord Vishnu, as they see Krishna, and his snake-bed Ananta, Balaram, would walk barefoot through the remote countryside of Vrindavan. Now, what's Vishnu doing walking barefoot? And they were amazed that these two supreme souls, Krishna and Balaram, whom the personified Vedas and Upanishads constantly praise, would sometimes become the object of childish jokes told by simple cowherd boys who were not even purified by second birth. This is how they saw it. And they were shocked when those cowherd boys would climb upon Krishna and Balaram's shoulders and steal food from their plates or decorate them with peacock feathers that they picked up off the ground. So that's why, as I mentioned, Indradyumna was surprised that Krishna and Balaram lived in a village and its surroundings had large puddles and rivulets of milk, flowing with milk. However, it's for that very reason that Vrindavan is also known as Shama Gori Bhumi. Shama, Gori, G-O-R-I. Shama Gori Bhumi. It means literally that Vrindavan has 2 rivers. One white and the other dark. How's that? The dark river is the Jamuna, and the white river is the milk flowing throughout the land. Another interesting fact I found is that Shastras describe the milk of Vrindavan's cows as not only white, but different colors as well. Well, I read that, I'm like, what? So the brown milk of Vrindavan's cows is known as Malena Dut. Dut means milk. Malena Dut. The golden colored milk of Krishna's cows is known as Swarvarna Dut. Pearl colored milk is called Mukta Dut. And beige milk is referred to as Dumila Dut. So in Braja, Krishna is the Lord of cows producing 5 kinds of colored milk. And I found a beautiful verse in Gopal Tapani Upanishad 1.8, where Lord Brahma says, Gobhumi Veda Vidito Vidita. Govinda means Lord of the cows of Braj, as well as Lord of the earth. In fact, he is the Lord of everything described in the Vedas. So in my research, I came across numerous pastimes and references to Krishna and his cows. A short piece, for example. One time, Mother Yasoda started to say to Krishna, listen, my dear son, in this universe, there's an ocean of milk. Mother, Krishna interrupted, how many cows does it take to get enough milk to fill an ocean? And this made the gopis nearby giggle. Mother Yasoda, who was also laughing, she said, my darling son, the milk ocean was not made by cows. So Krishna said, Maya, how can there be milk without cows? So stroking, little Krishna's face, Yasoda replied, my darling son, the one who gave cows the ability to transform grass into milk can also make milk without cows. So Krishna said, Maya, who is that? So lowering her head in respect to the Lord, Yasoda replied, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although all-pervading, he is invisible to material eyes, and therefore you and I cannot see him. So hearing this about himself, Krishna smiled softly and drifted off to sleep. That's a nice pastime, isn't it? Now, Srila Prabhupada once said that the cows in the material world are cousins of the cows in the spiritual world. Some years ago, when we began our lectures on the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham, actually 4 years ago, we once mentioned that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote amazing details about the cows in the spiritual world. And I feel those details are worth repeating here, appropriate. He said that the cows in the spiritual world come from 2 categories. One, those that are Nitya Siddha, associates of Krishna, meaning those who never left the spiritual world. And number 2, those who are Sadhan Siddha, those who have achieved perfection by Sadhan Bhakti, like we're doing, by following rules and regulations of devotional service. And I was thinking, as we've all experienced, it's sometimes a challenge. The goal's far away. To achieve Goloka Vrindavan by practicing Sadhan Bhakti, although we have faith it works. But in this regard, I also read, it was very comforting. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, it is difficult to understand the secret of Krishna consciousness. But one who advances by the instruction of previous acharyas and follows in the footsteps of his predecessors in the link of disciplic succession will have success. Of this there is no doubt. Will have success. Of this there is no doubt. Comforting. Let's keep going. Now, continuing with his description of cows, in Goloka, he writes, it's so beautiful. Such cows are like Chintamani jewels that fulfill any desire, and their mooing is the most beautiful poetry. Those happy cows are just like pleasant summer. They always lift their ears to hear Krishna's flute, and as they wander the earth in Gokula's pastimes, they resemble bubbles of the milk ocean, as well as the chuckles of Lord Shiva. And they are the infant children of moonlight. The cows in the spiritual world, they're infant children of moonlight. Now, there's something else very extraordinary about Krishna's cows. Being self-realized souls, pure devotees of the Lord, they are Trikala Darshi, it's described. Trikali Darshi, meaning those who can see or sense past, present, and future. For example, with the cows, whenever there is a problem in Vrindavan, like Lord Indra pouring torrents of rain down on the village, or a demon coming to attack Krishna, the cows cry and behave differently with the boys. So for the boys, this is a sign. And the boys are cautious, and they go tell Krishna about the situation, like something's going to happen. The cows are telling us so. And also when anything good happens, the example is given, the appearance day of Sri Radha, or a festival like Holi, or Diwali. All the cows moo in the eastern direction and happily play with the cowherd boys. So then the boys know something really good's going to happen. Now, we emphasized several times that Krishna spends the balance of his day with cows. And Shastra gives a more detailed description that, in this regard, that Krishna stays with his cows from 8:24 a.m. in the morning until 8:24 in the evening. There's a detail for you. He stays with his cows from 8:24 a.m. in the morning to 8:24 p.m. in the evening. And while herding his cows, he has many pastimes, like playing with his friends, killing demons, eating food with his friends, sending messages, and sometimes making excuses to leave the boys and the cows to visit Sri Radha at noon at Radhakund. And also playing with his cows. Now, playing with cows is known in Sanskrit as gokrida. And it takes the shape of Krishna and his friends decorating the cows' bodies with henna. They put the henna on their hands that die, and then they put their hands all over the cows, so the cows have the hands of the cowboys all over them. The cows like that. And after that, they would place heavy golden bells around the cows' necks and also around their legs. And then they would fix a golden covering on each horn of the cows. They'd put gold around the horn, each of the horns of the cows. Then they would comb their tails and then tie them with colorful threads. And after this, they would, I find it really interesting, they would place decorative masks on the cows' heads or on their face. Decorative masks. And then they would feed them leaves from the khair tree, Khair, khair tree, which made the cows very energized. And after that, they would put a special type of toy, it's described, to the cows' ears, which would make them very excited and want to run and frolic with the boys. Now, it's said of all the boys, how many cowherd boys are there? Unlimited. Of all the boys, Krishna is the best in dealing with the cows. Of course, he's Gopal. It's written that he's the most expert in calling them, binding them up with a rope, or binding them with a rope attached to a wooden stick, riding on carts and holding their tails to make the cart go faster, decorating cows, petting cows, milking cows, feeding cows, and collecting the cow dung, collecting the dung of the cows. Krishna's the best at that. Treating the cows with herbs. He's the best at running behind or in front of the cows. He's the best fighting with bulls, and he's the best controlling angry bulls and protecting cows. And finally, satisfying them all with his sweet flute playing and lovely face. He satisfies all the cows with his flute playing and with his lovely face. So much information we found. Now the main places where Krishna herds his cows are Bahulavan, Manjulavan, Vatsavan, Vrindavan, and Govardhan. And Krishna's Goshaal is technically in the village of Gazipur near Nandagram. And I read that Shri Radha's Goshala is in Bardoli village, near to Varshana, Bardoli. Some more nectarian details. Krishna has a stick, a flute, a rope, a bugle, and a black blanket for herding cows. His stick is to show the ways to cows, where to go. His flute is used to call them all together and take them back home. His rope is used to play with them and bind them. His bugle, his buffalo horn, or rather, his buffalo horn, is used to call for lost cows and indicate the direction they should walk in to get home. And his black blanket, I thought that was interesting. His black blanket is for controlling mad cows, as well as for sleeping on it in the forest when he gets tired herding the cows. Oh, some artists can depict that wonderful pastime. Krishna's taking rest in the afternoon, perhaps after lunch, and he's resting on a black blanket. So sometimes Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radharani, and her Gopi friends, they make an excuse to walk by the places where Krishna and his friends are herding cows. They're on their way to sell their milk products in the market, but they take a little diversion there, and they make sure they walk by where Krishna's herding cows, so that Radha can appreciate Krishna's beauty. However, due to social customs, she's bound to keep her head covered, completely covered, when she's around the boys like that. So it's so sweet. What does she do? It says she gazes through her dupatta, like the ladies wear on their heads. She gazes through her dupatta into the eyes of Krishna's cows, who are always staring at Krishna. It's described like gazing upon a beautiful painting. And she sees a reflection of Krishna in the eyes of the cows. And in this way she becomes happy. Social custom, she can't look directly at Krishna. So she looks in the eyes of the cows who are staring at Krishna, and she sees Krishna's reflection, and that's enough for her. Now there's a beautiful pastime involving Krishna's cows. It's related, it's told in Srivaram Swami's Krishna Sangita, very beautiful book that Maharaj wrote, Krishna Sangita. And therein he takes reference from Srila Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita 2.6, as well as Garga Samhita 5th canto. In Garga Samhita we hear how after leaving Vrindavan before Mathura, Akura took Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura. Krishna actually came back at one point. It's sometimes debated, but in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, as I quoted, and in Garga Samhita, it's described. Krishna came back at one point with Uddhava on a golden chariot to meet the rajabasis. Now, in Krishna's absence, how would you say, Vrindavan had become like a wasteland. But upon his return with that quick visit, he instantly transformed Vrindavan into a pleasure paradise. Neither the manicured gardens of heaven is described, or the, Chintamani forests of Vaikuntha could compare to the paradise of Braj. And when Krishna's chariot appeared on the horizon, out of curiosity, his cows followed it with their eyes. What is this chariot coming? And then they saw that it was Krishna, Uddhava. Actually, how did they discover? Oh yeah, when a favorable breeze brought the scent of Krishna's body to their nostrils, they at once recognized their Gopal, and they came running. They came running. Despite the fact that their udders were full, Garga Samhita says, their udders were full. Despite that, the cows moved very quickly, with their tails and ears raised out of love. And Krishna, seeing them, he lovingly called out to them, Ho Ganga, Ho Godavari, O Sambhali, O Kalindi, O Tungi, O Yamuna, O Hamsi, O Kamala. With so much love. Love is reciprocal. So the cows, they kept replying to Krishna as they ran. It's called lowing. Lowing again and again, raising a big cloud of dust with their hooves. And again Krishna called out to them. This time with his familiar, what is it? He. That's what you read in the scriptures. Krishna called to them, he. And when his cows, who, heard that sound many times, heard the call, that Krishna reserved, especially for them, the entire herd of cows escaped the control of the cowherd boys, and they ran towards Krishna's chariot. So at first the Gopas tried to control their herd, but when they saw two cloud-like figures, it's described, upon the chariot, the cowherd boys stood still, not daring to hope, yet unable to restrain their thoughts. Krishna is back in Vrindavan. So as soon as the cows surrounded the chariot, Krishna got off and he caressed the cows with his hands as he very affectionately called their names again and again. He inquired about their welfare. And as they drank his beauty with their eyes, smelled Krishna's fragrance with their noses, and licked him with their tongues. That's what cows do. Out of affection, they licked Krishna. They loved Krishna more than anyone's ever been loved before. So Krishna said, "Oh mothers, have you missed me as much as I have missed you?" His cows replied by trying to embrace Krishna with their bodies. And as they did so, he was back on the chariot now, because he had to go throughout the whole of Vrindavan. As they did so, the chariot rocked back and forth. The cows are there like, the chariot rocked back and forth. And Krishna, amused, he gazed adoringly at their beauty and charm. That's how we should see cows. He gazed adoringly at their beauty and charm. And Krishna laughed while he cried, saying, "There were no such cows in Mathura. There were no such cows in Mathura." Hare Krishna Prabhus. Thank you so much. Cows. Yeah, we love, isn't it? We love to go on and on about cows, Krishna's favorite animal. And our favorite animal as well, because Krishna loves them, we love them, and we protect them. So thank you, and we'll be back in a week with another class on cows. So until then, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Krishna's cows ki, in this world and the next. Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Krishna Sankirtan Yagi ki, Nitai Gaur Pimanandi. Jai Jai Sri Sri Radhe Sharm. Glories to Prabhupada.